everyone, and welcome to the ASMR review show. For this video, we're doing a tier list ranking of all of the squadmates / companions from the Mass Effect series. I've got some delicious red wine, because red is a renegade color. Normally I play renegade in Mass Effect because it's more interesting than Paragon. And I had an open bottle that I needed to finish, so yeah. We're doing all the Mass Effect squadmates. The tier ranking for this will mostly be based on my own personal experience, but that's going to be difficult because I have not played the game so many times to romance everybody, right? A lot of it's from me watching the cutscenes or reading about the moments or seeing other people play it. So we'll try to find a good balance of everything to determine the ranking, in my opinion, right? So, first off, we have in this order of the tier list, Thane. Thane, for me, is A tier. I really like him a lot. I think he's kind of underrated, unfortunately underutilized. You pick him up towards past the midway point of Mass Effect 2, and I've never bothered romancing him because, well, it doesn't end very well, and you don't really get him as a squad mate in Mass Effect 3, so he's not in it for very long, but with what little time he does have, he shines quite well. He's very good in combat too. Like, that's the thing, is it's going to be based on the character, but also something that will factor will be how useful they are actually in terms of the gameplay, right? So, yeah, he's pretty good in gameplay wise, a pretty good story, a very interesting companion, a very sad story. Yeah, I really like him a lot. Just, wish we could have got more, but hey, that's good. He leaves you wanting more. That's always nice, right? Next we have, I believe this is Morinth, Samara's daughter, aka Billie Eilish, right? Because Samara's voice actress, or is it her face model, right? The face model and there's the voice actress. Are they two different people? Well, Samara is Billie Eilish's mother, so therefore Morinth, being Samara's daughter, is Billie Eilish. What I'm saying is Billie Eilish is an Erna Yakshi, and that explains so much. But Morinth is D tier for me. She's very cool, a very interesting character, but ultimately I don't get why you would pick her over Samara. She is very obviously evil and not a good person, and just using you. It's kind of fun to play along with. Oh yeah, but I've got the hots for her. But yeah, and then she's basically the same as Samara, so I've never bothered saving her. It's more of just an elaborate way for you to accidentally get yourself into a game over scenario. I feel like if you're dumb enough to do that, then the game should just delete your save file. Or give you like a special game over screen. And then she's not even in Mass Effect 3 at all. She sends you a single message and then shows up as a banshee at the end. But that's it. So, yeah, interesting character, but not really in terms of being a proper squad mate, because why would you pick her? And yeah, that's how I feel. But, interesting character, just not a good squad mate. And next we have Kaden. Kaden, for me, overall, is a B tier character. I think he's underrated. He has a special place in my heart for also being a Canadian. So anytime he has his Canadianisms, I can relate, right? And also, it's the subtle references that he says about Canadian stuff that I think would go over some people's heads. But then there's me, I hear it and I'm like, you mean to tell me, what does he say? He has like an apartment overlooking English Bay, and like his parents have a vineyard in the interior. stuff like that. That's insane, right? Just for context, that would be like if you had like, I don't know, like a fancy ass New York penthouse or a New York City suite, and then that you also had like a very fancy vineyard in California. Essentially, that's the equivalent. For reference, English Bay, that's in Vancouver, one of the biggest cities in Canada that all the bands seem to ignore. And then the interior, right? Like British Columbia and Okanagan, and that's where all the wine is made, right? So I know these things, I'm Canadian, right? So that's quite a flex right there from this guy. And then when you romance him, he makes you bacon, gives you beer. That's the way to my heart, okay? So I think he's underrated because he is kind of dull in the first game, but it's also just due to the way the cutscenes in the first game are played, you know? Lots of just three people stood there facing, yeah, Commander, that's something we should look into. What can you tell me more about that sort of thing? Right. I should go. So, yeah. Overall, he gets better as it goes on. I've watched my wife play the game, romancing him, and it is quite a rewarding romance. Combat-wise, he's very useful. I remember having him and Liara on a team, like, maxed out stats and just watching them throw Geth Colossi all over the place. So, yeah, he's very fun, pretty good. I think he's underrated. B tier for Kaden. Then next we have Ashley Williams, right? No relation to Ashley Williams from Evil Dead. No, this is not Bruce Campbell. I do think Ashley's also underrated, but not to the same extent as Kaden. I will give her a C tier. I did do a playlist where I kept her alive, though, as FemShep, so I wasn't romancing her. And, she's pretty good. I mean, she starts off on the wrong foot by everyone calling her a space racist, but, like, everyone in the beginning is quite prejudiced, and they learn to overcome their prejudices towards each other. She's just the most blunt about it. And I think she's a cool character. If I have to pick, right, yeah, Ashley's typically getting left on for Meyer. Sorry. She's pretty good in combat, though, quite a powerhouse, so that's nice, but also Kaden, I think, is better in combat with all the biotic stuff. Then we have Edie. Edie, I think, is a little overrated. I'm not the biggest fan of her. I think we'll go B tier for her. She's got an interesting story. I just don't use her that much in combat because she's not very powerful, so I don't get to hear many of her lines. She definitely has some fun moments. Like, I like how her picture here is from the whole cross-eyed, like, I'm okay. Really? Yeah, Javik would say, inevitable. Really? So yeah, she's cool, gets a couple good moments. I feel like I liked her a little more as AI in Mass Effect 2, though. So yeah, B tier for Edie. Next we have James Vega, Freddie Prinze Jr., Fred himself, right? D tier for James. I'm not really the biggest fan of him. I don't really pick him that much for combat. He basically, he's like the Jacob of Mass Effect 3 for me. We'll get to Jacob, but I just didn't really dig him. The only reason his character exists is to be a new character to ask questions for the people that didn't play the previous games, because they were trying to make Mass Effect 3 more accessible to non-fans of the franchise, which it's the third game in a long-running story series. Come on, guys. But it's also because they wrote themselves into a corner with how good the suicide mission was, so not much you can do there. Yeah, I just don't really dig him. His vibe, his style, you know, he's not bad. Obviously, he's still cool, he's still fun, he gets some moments to shine. But, yeah, if I have to pick one who's not really going on a lot of missions out of the Mass Effect 3 squad, it's Vega. Which sucks because there's already so few squad members in that game. Next we have Garrus. Garrus is S tier, you know. There's gonna be no hot takes from me on this one. Garrus, man, he's great. He's awesome. Like, I have no comments. I mean, on one hand, the game doesn't give you as many chances to be mean to him, though, right? You can only kind of like annoy him in a bit. He's kind of engineered to always be on your side, but he's got the best lines, the best voice, the best romance. He's either your ultimate bro if you're male ship, or he's your ultimate love interest if you're fem ship, right? Even the scenes that are meant to be romance scenes, like the bar sequence and the dance sequence, play out so well. Even if you're male ship, you know, you give him dating advice, right? You know what you need, Garrus? That new silencer I saw at the gun shop. Too focused on his special interest to notice the flirtiness. Yeah, I can relate on that. And he's also really great in combat too, right? Definitely one of the best guys to have. Cover in your back. He's got sniper rifles, assault rifles. You could give him that turret in Mass Effect 3 and he ascends to godhood. It still works in the Legacy Edition. Like, yeah, man. What else is there to say about our lovable old Turian? Then we have Grunt. Grunt for me is A tier. You know, he's my child, my sweet child, Grunt. You know, our little teenage Krogan tankborn. At first I thought I wasn't gonna like him, but then I grew to like him a lot. He's fun. Only thing that sucks is, just like Thane, you only get him for Mass Effect 2. You don't get him as a squad mate in Mass Effect 3. I mean, I know there's like certain characters where you get them as squad mates in the combat arena, but we're not really counting that. I can't recall who is in there that is not a normal companion. I'm not sure. So he's fun. Got some of the funniest moments, especially in the Citadel DLC. You know, Operation Fire Cobra Claw. I was on fire because they sprayed me down with riot foam, right? Threw my ball of rimbolt at it. I love you, Grunt. He's pretty useful in combat. You know, I am Krogan. So yeah, Grunt's pretty fun. I just wish he had more screen time like Thane. So, A tier for Grunt. Then we have Jaal, Mass Effect Andromeda. Jaal is a pretty good character, and I like him a lot. So we shall go. See, this is, it's gonna be tough for me to rank the Andromeda characters because for these characters they only have one game as opposed to some of these characters having 3 games of development, right? And now I don't know if we've just abandoned the whole Andromeda storyline, which really sucks because no, that game wasn't perfect, but it had a lot of good things going for it, and I did want to see where the story went. And like, if we just look at Mass Effect 1 by itself, there's so many loose ends and things that go nowhere. The Quarian Geth War, the Genophage, right? So many big world-building elements that don't really get expanded upon into the sequel. Or Star Wars even, right? There's so many moments, right, where they build to something great in the future ones, but they don't really work as their own moments in the original, right? So, and you know, we never got any DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda. There might have been, but it's not gonna happen, right? The Quarian Arc DLC. Yeah, so it's frustrating, right? So perhaps I'm going to be a little more forgiving to the Andromeda Squadmates because we only got one game for them to shine. They're not all that great, so this might be kind of independently ranked, shall we say. So for Mass Effect Andromeda Squadmates, Jaal is A tier. But how should I do this? How do I get out of this sentence? No, I'm doing what I'm doing. We're just gonna do it the way I want. Jaal is A tier. He's pretty cool, pretty useful in combat. I like the way his character develops. It's cool to meet this new alien race, the Angaran, though the encounter is not handled that great as it could have been. He's got a very steamy romance scene. He's very sweet, but he's also got some funny moments to him. Yeah, we like Jaal a lot. He's pretty cool. We'll give him an A tier for that. We'll be a little more forgiving to the Mass Effect Andromeda characters. Next we have Jack. Jack for me is B tier. I do like her a lot, and she's definitely got some very good tearjerker romance scenes. She's definitely the most tsundere of Mass Effect characters, but I feel like, especially in Mass Effect 2, she's a little too tsundere, shall we say. I don't like how literally no matter what you do, she ends up telling you to, screw off. That kind of sucks. I don't like how she was supposed to be, bi, but they cut that out because they were scared over the Fox News freakout about the sex scenes in the first game. So that sucks. You don't really get her as a squad mate in Mass Effect 3. She's just like for one mission. That's basically Mass Effect 3, though. A bunch of your favorite people from Mass Effect 2 show up for one side quest in this one, and then a little cameo at the end. So, yeah, she's pretty cool, pretty enjoyable. Not the greatest squad mate in combat, I found. Again, just wish she had more screen time. And I don't like how she gets pissed at you no matter what. So yeah, pretty good, but could have been better. Next we have Jacob. Oh, dear little Jacob. D tier for Jacob. Here's the thing, it's in Mass Effect 2, he's not bad, he's just bland. He's like what I feel people think Kaden and Ashley are. He doesn't really do anything wrong, per se, in Mass Effect 2. It's just like, he's not that interesting, he doesn't have much personality. I don't like if you're FemShep, she just automatically flirts with him, right? Like, FemShep is Garrus. Have you got a minute to talk? Can I wait for a bit? I'm in the middle of some calibrations. Then, let's talk to Jacob. Commander, I'm more interested in just talking for a bit. What? What, did I accidentally press the flirt option? This is why I like Andromeda. It tells you which one is the flirt option. Though, then it's funny because the characters seem to automatically detect, hey, wait a minute, you picked the flirt option, didn't you? It's mainly in Mass Effect 3 where, again, he's only got one mission. If you did romance him for some reason, he cheats on you. I think he's the only person to do that. Yeah. He's just kind of lame. He's not that great in combat. He gets 3 missions in the game. The first mission, he gets, Freedom's Progress. He gets that one, and he gets the loyalty mission. Yeah. Though I'm not as cruel to send him intentionally into the fence. We're not that mean here. Anyway, next we have Peebee. I don't really like Peebee that much, but I don't want to be too mean to her, so we'll go C tier for her. she's just kind of annoying. I don't really find her that interesting. I mean, it's cool that she's clearly a My Chemical Romance fan. That's nice. I don't like how you can never really... It's the thing with Mass Effect Andromeda overall. You can't really get mad at people, right? Like, the most I can do for getting mad at her for, you know, forcing us into an escape pod and landing us on a planet is just, you're gonna get chewed out for this. Doesn't actually. And I didn't find her that useful in combat or interesting, so I just didn't really bring her around that much. So yeah, C tier for Peebee. Sorry. Next we have Legion. Legion is awesome. He's very great. I love him a lot. But you really barely get to see this guy. He makes the best impact of the time he has, but it's a very, very brief window, you know, like he gets 2, maybe 3 missions in Mass Effect 2, unless you either hack the game so you can have him early, or you just let your crew and Kelly and all of them die, or save a whole bunch of missions for after the suicide mission. And then in Mass Effect 3, he gets like 2 or 3 missions, which are very good and quite the tearjerker. So I'm not putting Legion in S tier. He's going in A tier for me. If this guy was recruitable from the start of Mass Effect 2, it would be S tier, but I do have to take the stance that this guy does not have as much to him as I would want, but we do really love him. And he's very useful in combat too. I like how he does the robot dance as his idle animation. That's fun. He's got some of the funniest quippy little lines. Geth, do not infiltrate. Geth, do not intentionally infiltrate. But yeah, overall, if I wanted to put him in S tier, I needed just a little bit more. So we'll go A tier for Legion. Next we have Liam. Liam, not the biggest fan of. I like that he tries to put on a movie night. That's fun, and that's about it. So we're gonna go D tier for Liam. Maybe he's a little mad. Why? Because I shot him in the face. Yeah, he's not that interesting. Don't really care for him that much. His loyalty mission's kind of fun, like, you know, there's the Star Wars references, right? Like, is Star Wars a movie in Mass Effect universe? And if so, I think Liam's watched it. But yeah, I just don't really dig him that much, so he doesn't really go on missions with me. Next we have Liara. You know what? S tier for Liara. She's a great romance character. I mean, she was basically engineered to be a fan favorite, right? She's the only alien you can get with in Mass Effect 1. Even in Mass Effect 2, she still got sizable screen time. She gets to be your own squad mate in the DLC, and she's a very big chunk of Mass Effect 3. So, you know, she's definitely engineered to be the fan favorite. Most people consider her the canonical romance, which makes sense. And she's awesome. We love her. I love her character development from, you know, shy, dorky nerd to, you know, the shadow broker badass. That's great. I really like her development in that way. She's also very good in combat. She was basically one of my ride or die girls in Mass Effect 3 on Insanity difficulty because she has warp and singularity, so automatically we stand Queen. And a lot of very great moments. Yeah, essentially, most of these A tier characters could be S tier if they got the same development as Garrus and Liara. Sorry, they just had more screen time, that's how it is. Then we have Kora. Kora, I actually like her a lot, she's pretty cool. so we'll go A tier for her. Definitely out of the human companions, I find her more interesting than Liam. Definitely was a little more useful in combat. I mean, yes, as people have memed, she has the best romance scene in Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, the only one where they actually put effort into it. And, as you can see the moment when Ryder initiates the docking procedure, shall we say. But yeah, I did a playthrough of Andromeda Romance in Kora, and it was quite good, and she's useful in combat, so she's pretty good. We'll give her a nice solid A tier for that. Then we have Javik. Javik, he's pretty cool in that he's, the last surviving Prothean, and he's definitely got this very, I'm born in Leiron generation vibes. And he's definitely a badass. Pretty cool and interesting in that way. Not the most useful I found in combat. Personally, I didn't bring him on too many missions. Only the ones where I knew he had special dialogue, like on Thessia. It does suck that he was a, day one paid DLC, which was actually on the disc. That's not really cool. I actually played my first playthrough of Mass Effect 3 with none of the DLC. No Leviathan, no Omega, no Citadel DLC, and no Javik. It was quite an empty experience, shall we say. But he's got some great moments. I just wish we could have had more of him, so we'll go a solid B tier for Javik. He's pretty cool. Maybe a little too grumpy for my taste. Then next we have Mordin. Mordin Solus. Mordin, very great guy. We shall put him in A tier. He definitely has some of the best moments in Mass Effect 2. Obviously, him singing Gilbert and Sullivan, very great. He is the very model of a scientist Salarian. He studies species Turian, Asarian, Batarian. And he's got probably one of the most heartbreaking moments in the franchise, with him sacrificing himself to cure the genophage. But personally, I didn't really find him much useful in combat. I found him very weak. And you don't get him as an official squad mate in Mass Effect 3. Maybe in the DLC of Citadel, but again, that doesn't really count. It's not story DLC, it's arena fighting. So yeah, he's really good. I just think a little more useful in the combat and a bit more in Mass Effect 3. He'd be S tier for me, so we're gonna go A tier for Mordin. We do love him a lot. We're not worthy. Then we have, is it Drax from Mass Effect Andromeda? Drax the Destroyer. Drax the Destroyer. Wait, is it Drax? But then also Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. Or is it? What? I'm having a moment here. Give me a minute. No, it's Drac, not Drax, but like Drax the Destroyer. Nakmor, Drac. Wow. It's so crazy. They're almost literally the same character. Anyway, Drac is pretty cool, fun. Again, the lovable, grizzled old guy, right? He's like a 1,000-year-old Krogan or something like that. He's a battle-hardened veteran with some very great moments. Really like his loyalty mission a lot. He's pretty cool. Just, I wish we could see more of him in future games, but we're not really going to. Yeah, so we'll go B tier for Drac. He's cool. We like him. Next we have Samara, right? 1,000-year-old Asari Justicar. I feel that she's underutilized because you don't really get her until halfway through Mass Effect 2, and then I don't really play her that much. And then she's not in Mass Effect 3 that much. And she is pretty cool, pretty badass. Again, she's Billie Eilish's mother. But I just don't really connect to her that much, and you can't romance her. I think if you try real hard, you'll get a kiss from her. So I don't really bother talking to her too much. So yeah, we'll go C tier for Samara. I know she's got her stands, and definitely a very fun loyalty mission, that's for sure. But yeah, ultimately C tier for Samara. Then we have Vetra. I will do a thing here, and that is, well, let's just do it. Vetra is S tier for me. Why? Because she is like the exact character I wanted to have in Mass Effect Andromeda from before I even knew Mass Effect Andromeda was what it was. Basically, I started playing Mass Effect when Andromeda was announced back in 2015, and I spent a whole summer speedrunning through all of the games because I bought the PS3 trilogy. And so in that time, I came to the conclusion, and this was before the Omega DLC, so I didn't even know Nyreen. Which Nyrene's not on here, and neither is Arya. I guess they're going for main squad mates, not just squad mates you get for a mission or two. And I knew before I even knew who Nyreen was, I wanted it to be a reversal. I wanted Mass Effect Andromeda to have the badass female Turian, you know, so kind of like a Garrus character, but still her own thing. And I said that, and then I heard there was this Vetra character in Mass Effect Andromeda, and I was like, oh my god, this is like exactly what I wanted. And she swings both ways too, so that's nice. Definitely did a femme rider version with her, because the male rider I did with Kora. Yeah, and she's just awesome, because I feel like everyone in Andromeda doesn't take the situation seriously, like they're just kind of quirky for the sake of being quirky. It was like, hey, everyone loved the Citadel DLC, so what if we just tried to do that from the start? But like, the problem is those moments in the Citadel DLC work best because we're seeing all these funny, chill, relaxed moments to these characters that have been so dead serious for most of the franchise, right? It's like, we're really getting to know these characters as people and not just what's essentially our coworkers. So I didn't like how they tried to force that comedic element right from the very start. You know, you can't all be the comic relief character. Look at the Ghostbusters remake. So I like how in this scenario that Vetra is still kind of comedic, but she's also the get stuff done person. And to this day, you can ask anybody I know. I quote the line all the time. I say, need something done. It's such a great line. It's just straight to the point. Need something done. So, Vetra's my favorite character out of Mass Effect Andromeda. I really wish we could see more of her. But alas, maybe we might not. Oh well, we'll still have Nyreen from Omega DLC. Then we have Rex. Rex, how shall we place Rex? Well, you know what? S tier for Rex. He definitely starts out as a grumpy guy in Mass Effect 1. He goes against your orders if you bring him to try to apprehend Fisk. And, you know, he nearly tries to shoot you if you do things wrong on Vermeer. But he's got so much character to him, and such a great story to tell. I'm on his side the whole way through. It was funny because I always just assumed, like, well, yeah, of course you hear the genophage, like, why wouldn't you? And it was funny to see all the people come out of the woodwork when Legendary Edition came out to try to say, well, actually, the genophage was kind of good, you know, like, I think they had the right idea. Yeah, I just wish we could have had more of him as a squad mate. Like, he's got a lot of screen time in Mass Effect 2 for your time on Tuchanka, and a decent amount in 3, and he even gets to be a squad mate in the Citadel DLC. So he manages to do a lot with the time he's given. Yeah, S tier for Rex. Then we have Miranda. Miranda is a pretty good character who I just wish we had more of. Again, like so many other Mass Effect 2 characters, they definitely did try with her in Mass Effect 3 to give her more screen time than some of the other Mass Effect 2 specific squad members like Thane and Grunt, and I think that was due to Yvonne Stranovski's schedule at the time. So we'll go B tier for Miranda. Definitely a good tsundere character, and not as over the top mad as Jack is of a character. But yeah, I just feel like unless you're romancing her, you don't get too much out of her. It's nice to slowly warm up to her as Mass Effect 2 goes on. But yeah, I feel like we needed more, maybe if like Jack and Miranda were like merged into a single character, and like that character had more screen time in Mass Effect 3, then we could get something really substantial. That would be an S tier character for me personally. But yeah, so we'll go B tier for Miranda. And no, Mass Effect is not ruined because you can't stare at her butt in one scene. You can stare at her butt in literally any other scene, and the game has photo mode. Calm down. Then we have Zaeed, right? Oh, good old Zaeed. It's funny, he makes me think of Jason Isaacs, right? But Jason Isaacs is also like the first Pokemon of who would evolve into Lance Henriksen, who is Admiral Hackett. I think he's literally just the same character model, slightly different, right? Zaeed's fun. He's cool, lovable bastard, big goddamn heroes. But I don't bring him on that many missions in Mass Effect 2. And I mean, he is very powerful though. And you don't get him for much at all of Mass Effect 3. So he's kind of just there. He's cool. He's alright. So we're gonna go C tier for Zaeed. It's not C tier because I dislike him. It's C tier because I wish we had more. And also his dialogue on Normandy in Mass Effect 2 is non-existent because he's got that Mass Effect 3 style of dialogue. It was like the precursor to it, where you just listen to him ramble and you don't talk to him. So, not that great, I find. Then we have Kasumi. Kasumi is also pretty fun, pretty cool, but again, very limited Mass Effect 2 screen time, especially because her loyalty mission is very difficult. I remember finding that one of the most challenging ones on Insanity difficulty. And she does not get much screen time in Mass Effect 3, though it does lead to the "you big stupid jellyfish" line, so that's fun. Yeah, ultimately it's a C tier for Kasumi. It's again, she's cool, but we needed a little more, personally. And then, of course, that brings us to Tali. What else were you gonna expect? Was I gonna give you some kind of hot take that Tali's not one of the best? Yeah, Tali's the best. Yeah, Tali's great. We love her, If you're male Shep and you're not romancing Liara, she's the other best option. Obviously, definitely if you're into the whole mask thing, like Ghostface, right? Well, she's got you covered on that aspect. She's also quite a dork, so we like that, Well, I was just, oh, it's really hot in here. Emergency induction port. That is a straw of a Tali. And she's pretty useful in combat, go for the optics, Sheila. And I like that you get to have her as a squad mate in all three games. I think, Garrus and Tali are the only ones for the entirety of the game you get them, I guess. Also Liara, if you include Shadow Broker DLC. Yeah, so, yeah, she's great. Got the best stories and romances and moments, and I just like her. She's not that great in Mass Effect 1, I will say. She doesn't have too much to say, and, you know, her equivalent of a loyalty mission in Mass Effect 1 is essentially go to 4 identical bases and kill Geth, to then go to a 5th base and kill a bunch of Geth Colossi. It's not that great, but it gets you a couple good moments in Mass Effect 2 because of it. It's one of my favorite early moments in Mass Effect 2, where the fact that you found that data for her, you get to, you know, use that as like a thing. Remember me, I know this because it's something only you and I would know. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, there you have it. I think Mass Effect Squad tier list again. I still like most of these, well, I like most of those characters. It's just like, here is either people I don't really bring along or don't care about. Then we have the ones who get a bit of moments to shine, but I wish they had some more time. Then we have the characters that maybe I don't bring them around all the time, but you know what, they're pretty cool. They've got some moments, they're alright. Then I've got, you know, my regulars, my squads, people with great bits here and there. Yeah, you're cool, you can stay a while. And then, of course, we've got, I guess, my top 5, my ride or die girls and gals and boys and whatever's they are. Yeah. So, there you go. Mass Effect Squadmates tier list ranking. Hope BioWare doesn't screw it up again for the next one. Or maybe we'll get a proper Andromeda sequel. Just, you know, anyway. Well, I should go, because my face is tired from all this